All right, Bomb Squad, let's talk about podcast saturation for a minute. In one of my past episodes, I had mentioned how I felt like I was seeing that word a lot less in the podcast space, but I guess I was lying because all of a sudden, here it is again, popping up on different social media networks and people saying they don't want to start a podcast or brands not wanting to start a podcast because they feel like the market is too saturated. I don't know why this word ever entered into our world, but here we are. It's crazy to think that there are people out there that have an idea, and even more so, they have a vision of what they'd want to create, but they're holding themselves back because they don't want to enter into a saturated market. That's just the wrong mindset. And I want to take a minute today to talk about why this, in my opinion, is never going to be a problem in the podcast space. And ultimately, how you should be looking at the creation that you're making and never feel like because there are other podcasts that talk about a similar topic, that it's going to make you less important or less valuable. Hello, my name is Jason Sircone, and you have found episode 94 of Podcasting Strategy Simplified. Now, as I said, saturation, it's one of those things that people feel, I don't know what makes a person conclude that the podcast world is saturated. I think it's a very broad statement. Maybe they're saying something about the 3 other podcasts in their industry that they found. And oh my God, how could I possibly add value to this? Or how could I say anything different than what I'm finding here? But the reality of the situation is the numbers are, in fact, they're ugly. I know I've covered these statistics before, and it's sad that so many podcasters or aspiring podcasters have started their show, but just fallen flat out of the gates. And I've always gone back to strategy first because that's what I do. If you don't have that strategy fully built out and have this infrastructure in front of you that allows you to have an understanding of where you're going, yeah, you're probably not going to experience a lot of good results. But what we're experiencing in this world is that people will throw 1 or 2 episodes out into the ether, hoping that it changes everything for them. And when it doesn't, they say, the work is not worth it. They pull the plug. The podcast stays out there because many don't take it down. So people go searching for podcasts in their specific niche and see nothing but titles and say, God, so many people are doing podcasts about this. For one, most of them are dead. You have to dig a little deeper. Most of them, unfortunately, never even got off the ground. They never had a chance to make that breakthrough because the people that were behind those podcasts simply didn't take time to get better at their craft. They got too fixated on download numbers. If you go back to episode 92 from last week, this was a big sticking post for me. And this, to me, it all meshes together to create this narrative that we are operating in a saturated market. Again, I'll say this. I feel in some ways that people that talk about this on the social media platforms are doing it to get a rise. They know that the podcasters are going to come running and say, no, that's not the case. That's not the case. There's actually statistics that back this up. And I'm doing it here too. I guess I've fallen prey to this. I just haven't done it via social media. But my message today is a little bit deeper than saying that, oh yeah, we're in a saturated market. We should probably just all throw in the towel. We're never getting anywhere. Or it's not to get a rise out of anybody either. It's to let you know that this market will never be saturated. And the reason I say that is because there is always going to be room for new voices. And those new voices are going to impact the right people. So regardless of how many podcasts exist in your particular niche, there is no reason why you can't add one more to it. There are a lot of restaurants out there that serve burgers. It's not stopping new people from opening new restaurants that serve a new spin on burgers, or maybe not even a new spin, maybe the exact same damn burger. But burgers are always going to be available, and there's always going to be new ones, and they're always going to taste a little different, and there's always going to be something that those chefs put into their ingredients that make it stand out just a little bit differently than the burger joint down the street. Why in the hell would you not think that way with your podcast? Because this is your brand. This is your message. This is your voice that you want to project into the world to connect with the right people so they come to you and start building trust and the solution that they've been looking for. Maybe they found it or found something they thought was a solution from 3 or 4 other podcasters, or who knows how many other podcasters, but it simply didn't deliver at the end of the day. So they're still on that quest. They're still looking to get from A to B. And now they found you. And they're listening to your message. They are hearing what you have to say. The solution that you have built over time, that you have put together from all of your blood, your sweat, your tears, your past experiences, your wins, your failures. You are now delivering something to them that they listen to and they say, holy shit, that makes sense. I'm going to try it that way. And then whatever you advise them to do, they put it into practice. It moves the needle. It moves things a little bit in the direction they've been trying to go for who knows how long. Now, what are they doing? They are thanking you for helping them see the light. Even if it was just a shred of that light, what's going to happen next? They're coming back for more. They're going to tune into your podcast next week. And then they're going to tune into your podcast the week after that, because they have now found a message that clicks. If you have this message that you want to bring out for your brand, and the podcast is going to be this vehicle that extols the virtues of everything you can do to the world, but you hold back because it looks like the market is saturated, boy, that is a huge, huge mistake. I want to speak for all of us that we're already mad at you for holding back a message that could have impacted the world, that could have changed so many things, because you're looking at things from the wrong perspective. I feel this market will never be saturated because podcasting is another form of expression, and it's one that has taken the world by storm. There's no denying it. And I'm not cracking any atoms open when I say that, but think about this. How many books are out there? Way more than there are podcasts. It's not stopping anybody from writing a new book. How many YouTube channels exist? Way more than the number of podcasts. People are still creating YouTube channels. How many social media platforms are out there? Way more than the number of podcasts, but it's not stopping anybody from setting up a new Facebook account or a group community page, whatever. People are always going to be looking for new ways to get their voice out there. Podcasting is another means of doing just that. And what I love about podcasting, I mean, there's a number of things that I love about podcasting, but one of the big reasons is the fact that you own this. This is your platform, and it's your voice speaking in long form content. You have unlimited time to say what you need to say and deliver the message that people need to hear. You're not being cut off by some network telling you you don't have enough time today, or we only have this many minutes. No, this is your platform to say what you need to say. And no matter how many people enter into the market to say something similar, they are never going to say it like you. Even if they took your words verbatim, it's still not you. At the end of the day, we are not establishing trust with a social network, with a podcast, with a website. We are establishing trust with another human being. We establish that trust because that human being has something to say that resonates with us. So if you are going to prevent yourself from bringing a message to the world that could have that kind of impact, and it could allow you to elevate your brand to levels that you never thought imaginable because some dipshit on a social platform said the networks are saturated or the podcast platform has too many people, you are robbing yourself of true, authentic growth. You're robbing yourself of the ability to take a message and project it, not to the world. That's what a lot of people say. I know I've probably been guilty of saying that before too. It's not going to go global, but it's going to go to the right people. And as you continue to find the right people, those people will then turn to other people just like them and say, you need to be hearing this. This has had a profound impact on what I've been trying to do with X, Y, and Z. I know you've been trying to find that profound impact. Listen to this podcast. So you start to experience that compound exponential growth, and you did it because you had something to say. You didn't fall prey to somebody saying that things are oversaturated. At the same time, I go back to episode 92, you also didn't let the wrong things fixate your mind. Thinking podcasting is saturated, that is fixating on the wrong thing. Thinking that download numbers are the only thing that matter, that's fixating on the wrong thing. What really matters is your message delivered in a way that provides impact, that hits the right people, and it does so consistently. So they can trust you and know that when they have a problem to solve, you're going to be there for them. Now, it's not every problem in the world, obviously, but if it's in a specific area where you live and you know your expertise can make a difference, that's what matters. And that's what we all need. We need you. We need your voice telling the world why you have a solution that can help somebody solve this specific problem. As I sit and record this podcast episode, we are probably around 5 to 6 million podcasts that have been put out into the world through various podcast platforms. 5 to 6 million. Now, that number on the surface seems incredibly large, right? But the thing to keep in mind is that's nowhere near the number of YouTube channels, the number of Facebook pages, the number of blogs on the internet. We've got a long way to go to ever catch those numbers, and who knows if we ever will with podcasts. But the thing to keep in mind is, even though there's that many that have been done over 20 plus years of podcasting existing in this world, just a small fraction of them are still active. Way under that number. Not even 1 million. Can you believe that? Not even 1 million podcasts active. And it may seem crazy when you think about what's out there. There seems to be a podcast about everything, right? But not all of them are active. Not all of them are doing anything to produce new content to keep their shows going. So my message today is simple. You may see somebody out there in social media land or on a podcast or on a video talking about podcast saturation. Pay them no mind. Do not let that deter you from creating a vehicle that can amplify your brand and change everything that you're doing. When we talk about simplifying your podcast strategy, I start with mindset for this specific reason, because your head has to be right. Your head has to be in the right place. If you're thinking things like saturation or download numbers or, oh my God, my people aren't showing up or this is taking too long, you're doing it wrong. Period. You're not thinking about the right things. You have to think about your value, your mission, your message, and the long-term vision of what your podcast can become. When you start to put those pieces in play and you start building something that over time becomes this incredible catalog of content that you can constantly refer to, that you can constantly pull from for additional content, that people can find at various points in their journey, that's what makes a podcast special. And no matter how many people do that, there is always going to be room for more. So don't ever let the word saturation throw you off. Don't ever let somebody tell you you shouldn't start a podcast because too many other people are doing it. Your people need your message. They need your voice. They need your guidance. This will never be a saturated platform, ever. And I can't wait to see how many great new podcasts enter this world, because I know there are a lot of people out there with great ideas. All they need is the vehicle to help them get started. Before I wrap up today, I want to take a second to remind you about my Podcast VIP Accelerator program. This is a 2-week coaching program that allows us to zero in on a very specific aspect of your podcasting strategy and help bring clarity to all of the steps that you are putting into place to make that strategy work. To learn more about this program, all you need to do is set up a free discovery call with me. Visit jasonsircone.com/discovery call, and we'll talk about what we need to do to get you into the Podcast VIP Accelerator program. So that's going to do it for today's installment of Podcasting Strategy Simplified. I hope you had a great time. I know I did. Until our paths cross again on the next episode, my name is Jason Sircone, reminding you that podcasting isn't easy, but it doesn't need to be complicated. I'll see you next time.